You ever wonder what goes on inside a man's mind when he looks at you? Not with his eyes, but with his heart. The truth is, there are things men deeply love about women that they'll never put into words. Not because they don't want to, but because sometimes those feelings run so quietly, so powerfully, that words just don't do them justice. So tonight, let's lift that curtain. Let's talk about what men secretly notice, deeply feel, and quietly cherish, but never say out loud. There's something incredibly powerful about a woman who can be soft and still stand strong. Men don't talk about it much, but they see it. They feel it. It's that quiet strength that doesn't need to shout, doesn't need to prove anything, but somehow commands respect every time she walks into a room. It's the way she handles life when everything around her is loud, messy, unpredictable. And yet she remains grounded. That's not weakness. That's discipline. That's grace wrapped in composure. What most men won't admit is that this kind of strength, the calm kind, humbles them. Because while the world teaches men to fight, to push, to fix, a woman's calmness teaches something entirely different. It teaches stillness. It shows that power doesn't always mean control. Sometimes it means the ability to stay centered when everything else is spinning. And that's something men notice more than they'll ever say. He sees it when she's faced with something unfair, and instead of lashing out, she chooses peace. He sees it when she could argue, could make a point, could prove herself right. But instead, she lets silence do the talking. That kind of strength doesn't come from ego, it comes from understanding who she is. It's not that she doesn't feel the weight of things. She does. But she knows which battles are worth her energy. And that kind of wisdom, that's rare. You see, men live in a world that constantly tells them to perform, to win, to always stay in control. So, when he meets a woman who doesn't need control to feel strong, it throws him off in the best possible way. It reminds him that true strength isn't in force, it's in balance. It's in the woman who can hold her ground without raising her voice, who can express emotion without letting it consume her, who can love fiercely without losing herself. That's a strength that steadies him, inspires him, and calms something deep inside that he didn't even realize was restless. And what makes it so captivating is that she doesn't even try to be strong for show. She doesn't post about it. She doesn't demand recognition. Her strength just exists naturally, in the way she cares, in the way she recovers, in the way she moves forward even when she's tired. It's that quiet resilience that makes a man look at her differently, because while everyone else sees beauty, he sees depth. While others see confidence, he sees courage. While the world praises independence, he sees the heart behind it. The woman who's learned to stand tall, not because she had everything handed to her, but because she's fought to find peace in herself. And the truth is, that kind of strength draws men in, not because they want to compete with it, but because they feel safe around it. A woman like that doesn't drain his energy, she balances it. She makes him want to slow down, to match her calm, to protect the peace she carries. She doesn't need saving, she's already whole, but she inspires him to become more grounded, more thoughtful, more intentional, just by being who she is. That's what men secretly love. Not perfection, not power in the traditional sense, but the kind of strength that holds steady in the middle of chaos. The strength that forgives when it could resent, that stays kind when it could harden, that remains patient when it could give up. It's the kind of strength that says, I can handle life without losing my softness. And to a man, that's not just beautiful, that's unforgettable. You know what most men won't ever admit out loud? That deep down, they crave peace more than anything else. Not excitement, not constant attention, just peace. And when a woman brings that not through silence, but through warmth, presence, and calm energy, it changes everything. Because no matter how confident or strong a man seems on the outside, inside he's still looking for a place where he doesn't have to prove himself, a place where he doesn't have to perform, a place where he can just breathe. And when a woman becomes that safe space, not by trying to fix him, not by rescuing him, but simply by being there in a way that feels steady and understanding. He feels it. He won't say it, but that's when he lets his guard down. That's when he starts to share more, trust more, love more, because men aren't always searching for someone who can understand everything they say. Sometimes they're just searching for someone who can understand their silence. It's in the little moments. The way she listens without interrupting, the way she looks at him like she actually sees him, not the version the world expects, but the version that's tired, uncertain, maybe even a little broken. And somehow, she doesn't judge that. She doesn't run from it. She just stays. She makes him feel safe to show up as himself, messy, imperfect, real. And that kind of safety is something men rarely find. You see, a lot of men grow up with this quiet rule in their heads: don't show weakness. So they carry it into adulthood, hiding their stress, swallowing their fears, pretending everything's fine when it's not. But when he's around a woman who doesn't make him feel small for having emotions, who doesn't use his vulnerability against him, he feels something he's probably never felt before: relief. Because for once, he doesn't have to wear the armor. And here's the thing: this kind of warmth doesn't mean she agrees with everything he does. It doesn't mean she never challenges him. It means she knows how to challenge him with kindness, with respect, with love that doesn't attack his worth. When she says, "I get it," or "It's okay, we'll figure it out," that does more for him than any speech ever could. It tells him he's not alone in this. That's the kind of love men quietly hold on to. He might not talk about it to his friends. He might not even say, "Thank you," in the moment. But trust me, he notices. He notices the tone in her voice when she comforts him. He notices the peace in her presence when the world feels too loud. He notices that no matter how heavy the day gets, being next to her feels like exhaling, because she doesn't just listen to reply, she listens to understand. She doesn't just care when it's convenient, she cares when it matters most. That's why men fall in love with warmth that feels safe. Because a safe space doesn't just make him feel loved, it makes him feel seen. It's rare. It's quiet. It's not about grand gestures or perfect words. It's about presence. The kind that doesn't fade when things get hard. The kind that says, "You don't have to be perfect here. You just have to be you." And when a man finds that kind of peace in a woman, he'll protect it with everything he has. Because no matter where life takes him, he'll always remember how it felt to be around someone who made his world a little softer, his mind a little quieter, and his heart a little lighter. That's what men secretly love: a woman whose presence feels like home. One of the most powerful things a woman can do for a man is to see the good in him, especially when he struggles to see it in himself. Men don't talk about it, but they notice it. They feel it deep down. Because behind every man, no matter how confident or collected he seems, there's a part of him that quietly wonders if he's enough, if he's doing enough, if he's becoming the man he's supposed to be. And when a woman looks at him and doesn't just see what he is right now, but what he could be, that changes something inside of him. It's not about blind praise or flattery. It's about genuine belief. The kind that says, "I see your potential," even when you doubt it. That kind of belief carries a weight he doesn't forget. Because when the world points out his flaws, when his own thoughts criticize his every move, her belief becomes the one voice that cuts through the noise. And it's not because she's trying to fix him. It's because she recognizes the man beneath the armor, beneath the mistakes, beneath the layers he's afraid to show. Most men spend their lives trying to prove themselves, to their jobs, to their families, sometimes even to themselves. So when a woman comes along who doesn't make him feel like he has to prove anything, but instead reminds him that he already is something, that's rare. That's powerful. It's in the way she looks at him when he talks about his dreams, the way she celebrates his effort, even when the results aren't perfect, the way she reminds him that his worth isn't tied to his achievements. That kind of encouragement becomes the anchor that steadies him when life shakes his confidence. And what's beautiful is that men won't always say it out loud. He won't say, "Hey, I really needed that today," or "Your words made me feel capable again." But he'll remember it. He'll carry it with him into every challenge, every setback, every quiet moment of doubt. Her belief becomes that invisible hand on his back that keeps him moving forward when he wants to quit. Because when someone truly believes in you, not for what you can give them, but for who you are, it awakens something inside you that wants to live up to that faith. He might act like he doesn't need reassurance, like he's got it all figured out. But deep down, when she tells him she's proud of him, when she says, "I trust you," it hits different. Because those words are more than comfort. They're fuel. They make him want to show up better, not because he's being pushed, but because he feels seen. And that's the thing. A man who feels seen becomes a man who wants to grow. What men secretly love is that subtle, unspoken partnership, when she believes in him, not just when he's winning, but when he's still figuring things out. That quiet support, that steady faith, gives him strength he doesn't even realize he's drawing from. And it's not about ego, it's about connection. It's about the deep respect he feels for the woman who looked at him in his uncertainty and said, "You've got this." Because in a world that constantly reminds him of his flaws, she reminds him of his light. In a life full of expectations, she gives him acceptance. And in a mind full of self-doubt, she gives him belief. That's what men secretly love, the woman who sees their good when they can't, and loves them in a way that reminds them who they really are. It's funny how the little things, the ones that seem so small, so ordinary, end up being the ones that mean the most. Men don't always say it, but they notice them. They remember them. It's not the big, dramatic gestures that stay with them. It's the quiet, consistent effort. It's the way she checks in after a long day, the way she remembers how he takes his coffee, or the way she laughs at a story he's already told 3 times. Those tiny details might not seem like much, but to him, they're everything. Because what they really say is, "I see you. You matter." See, men are simple in some ways, but not in the way people often assume. It's not about needing praise or constant attention. It's about feeling valued, not for what they do, but for who they are. And when a woman pays attention to the little things, it tells him she's paying attention to him. It's not about perfection, it's about intention. The small acts of care, the things that don't have to be said, they build trust without a single word. What he won't tell you is that those moments stay with him longer than you think. He might not react every time, he might just smile or give a quick thanks, and that's it. But later, when he's alone, those small gestures echo back. When she thought he didn't notice, he did. When she thought it went unseen, it didn't. Men carry those things quietly, but deeply, because when someone consistently shows up in the small ways, it makes him feel safe to open up in the big ones. The truth is, it's not about effort that's loud. It's about effort that's real. A woman who takes the time to notice what makes him feel appreciated, what makes him light up, that's someone who touches him on a deeper level. It's not about being perfect or doing everything right. It's about showing care that's genuine, that's steady, that says, "I'm here." It's her remembering the details no one else does. His favorite snack, the name of a childhood pet, the kind of music he listens to when he needs to think. Those are the things that make him feel understood without having to explain himself. And when a man feels understood, he relaxes. He lets down his guard. Because understanding builds connection. It's easy to love someone for their big moments, their achievements, their strengths. But when she loves him through the ordinary, through the quiet days, the simple routines, the in-between moments, that's the kind of love that sticks. Men might not express it in words, but they return that same energy in their own ways. They'll fix something without being asked. They'll make sure her car has gas, or they'll quietly handle something that's been stressing her out. It's not about grand displays. It's about thoughtfulness. That's how men say, I notice you too. And that's what creates balance. That's what builds the kind of relationship that doesn't just survive, but grows stronger over time. Because in the end, it's not about how often someone says, I love you. It's about how often they show it, in small, consistent ways that never have to be announced. The effort in the little things says more than words ever could. It says, I care about your world enough to remember it. And when a man feels that from a woman, it doesn't just make him love her more, it makes him want to love her better. There's something magnetic about a woman who carries confidence without ever needing to announce it. Men notice it instantly, even if they can't quite put it into words. It's not about how she looks, how she dresses, or how many people pay attention to her. It's the energy she walks with. It's the quiet assurance in the way she moves, the way she speaks, the way she holds her own in a room without needing to be the loudest voice there. That kind of confidence doesn't scream, look at me. It whispers, I know who I am, and that's what draws men in. What men secretly love about that kind of woman is that her confidence doesn't come from ego, it comes from self-respect. It's rooted in knowing her value, in not needing validation to feel beautiful or worthy. When she walks in, she doesn't compete, she doesn't compare, she doesn't chase approval, because she's already chosen herself. And that quiet strength, that calm sense of assurance, makes everything about her feel more grounded. It's not intimidating, it's inspiring. It makes a man want to step up, not because she demands it, but because her presence naturally calls him to be better. And it's not about perfection. She has her doubts, her fears, her off days. But even then, she doesn't let them define her. She knows she's allowed to be a work in progress and still carry grace while doing it. She doesn't need to pretend she has it all together to feel confident. Real confidence is in her ability to admit she doesn't, and still walk forward with her head high. That kind of honesty, that blend of strength and humility, is what makes her unforgettable. You can see it in the little things. The way she sets boundaries without guilt, the way she says no without apology, the way she can be kind without letting anyone take advantage of her. A woman who knows her worth doesn't build walls, she builds standards. And the thing is, men may not always understand that right away, but deep down, they respect it. They admire a woman who doesn't beg for love or attention, but attracts it by simply knowing what she deserves. Because that tells him she's not looking for someone to complete her, she's looking for someone who can grow with her. When a man meets a woman like that, it doesn't just impress him, it challenges him. It makes him want to show up more intentionally, to match her consistency, to earn her trust. Not because she's hard to get, but because she values herself enough not to settle for half effort. And that's the kind of energy that brings out the best in both people. Her confidence becomes contagious. It reminds him that self-respect isn't arrogance, it's alignment, knowing who you are and not shrinking for anyone. And what makes her so different is that she doesn't chase attention, yet she captures it effortlessly. It's the way she can be fully present, fully herself, without needing to perform. It's how she laughs freely, speaks honestly, and carries herself with that quiet poise that says, I'm comfortable in my own skin. That's what men love but rarely say. The peace that comes from being around someone who's not trying to impress the world, just trying to be real. Because at the end of the day, real confidence isn't loud, it's steady. It doesn't demand to be noticed, it earns it naturally. And when a woman walks in that truth, when she radiates that kind of self-assured calm, she doesn't just capture attention, she commands respect. And that's what men secretly love most. A woman who doesn't try to shine brighter than anyone else, she just stands in her light, and it's impossible to look away. There's something deeply powerful about vulnerability, though it's often misunderstood. Most people see it as weakness, as something to hide or protect. But in reality, it's one of the strongest, most courageous things a person can offer. especially in a world that teaches us to always keep our guard up. And when a woman allows herself to be real, to be open, to show what she truly feels without masking it behind perfection or pride, that's what men quietly fall for. Not the image, not the performance, but the truth of who she is. Men notice it. They might not say it, but they feel it. When she lets her guard down and speaks from the heart, even if it's messy, even if it's emotional, it reaches a place in him that few things do. Because he sees trust in that, he sees honesty. He sees that she's not trying to impress him, she's inviting him in. And that's rare. Because real connection doesn't come from being flawless, it comes from being human. You see, men are often taught to be strong, to hold everything in, to never show cracks. So when he meets someone who can cry without shame, who can admit fear without guilt, who can say, "I'm struggling," and still keep her dignity, it softens him. It gives him permission to breathe, because her vulnerability doesn't make her fragile, it makes her real. And in that realness, he finds something he can trust, something he can connect with. It's not about oversharing or breaking down every wall at once. It's about authenticity. It's about her ability to show emotion and not run from it. When she laughs freely, when she tears up at something meaningful, when she lets him see the raw parts of her story, it tells him, "I'm not hiding who I am." And that kind of honesty creates a space where he feels safe enough to do the same. Men secretly love that kind of connection, even if they don't talk about it. Because it's not just about romance, it's about depth. It's knowing he's with someone who doesn't need to act strong all the time, someone who can be soft and still be powerful. A woman who says, "This is me, all of me," without apology, gives him the courage to be seen too. And that's what builds something unbreakable between two people. Not perfection, not control, but openness. What she doesn't realize is that her vulnerability inspires him. It teaches him that strength isn't about never breaking. It's about having the courage to rebuild, to show emotion, to care deeply in a world that often tells us not to. He might not say it, but her honesty changes him, because it reminds him that love isn't found in hiding our flaws, it's found in sharing them with someone who chooses to stay anyway. And when a man feels that level of trust, when he feels safe enough to drop his own guard, that's when the real bond forms. Not the surface kind, not the temporary spark, the lasting kind, the kind that says, "I see you, I get you, and I'm not going anywhere." So when she lets him see the parts of her she thinks make her unlovable, her doubts, her fears, her insecurities, what she's really doing is showing him the most beautiful thing she has, her truth. And that's what men secretly love the most. Not the perfect version of her, but the real one, the one who doesn't need to hide to be loved, because her honesty is already enough.